Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah with Harrisburg Project, and today we are doing our first training on Fund Code S in iStar. I am going to give you guys a few minutes to get the handout. It is in the handouts menu on your GoToWebinar flyout. So if you can't see your GoToWebinar menu, look for that orange arrow. Click on that. It will open up some options. You're going to see the ability to ask questions, and you should see the handouts section. So the handouts there, the PDF, it's not a long one. This is not, although this is a new fund code, this process is going to be familiar to you if you've ever had private facility kids. So Therapeutic Day, Fund B, Fund F kids, private orphans. Very similar in the calculation. The due dates go hand in hand with private facility Fund B as well. And it actually comes from the same funding. So a lot of things in common with private facility Fund B as far as the Fund S claim goes. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to get logged in. We have a lot of people registered for this session. As you can imagine, I know that everybody has been waiting for something. And although I will tell you, things are not quite ready with the rates yet, but today is the big meeting. And so I wanted to have something out there for you guys as those rates start to trickle into the system. So we will do this session again. And of course, if you need help with this, don't hesitate to let us know. But I would wait until next week. The rates are likely not going to make it in there overnight. Someone has to actually put the rates in once they're approved. So we'll go over all that in a little more detail. If you do, again, have questions during the session, you can ask them in the questions pod. In addition, I did upload a handout for you. It is pretty skimpy. It's going to seem really short, but again, there's just not a lot to the Fund S process. I mean, you're not costing out like orphans and things like that. So although it's been long awaited and stressful for some, it is going to be an easy claim to do. So. All right, we're at 9:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you do have questions, please ask them in the questions pod. Make sure you get your handout if you haven't already. So your Fund S claims in iStar are separate public day schools. This is a brand new funding fund code this year. The legislation was passed last summer. It was signed July 1st. It's taken a very long time to get all of this lined out. There's been opposition to this, so it's been a roller coaster. Not as much for us here, and maybe not for you guys, but for people at ISB, it's just been a long ride on this. So they've done the best that they can do with what they've been given, and we know that the rates are late. They are fully aware that the rates are late. This is just the way things have gone with this. So we're going to talk about today your due dates for this, the approved schools, the calendar method is how you're going to do the claim, and your reports and support. So the due dates for this were extended based on everything that's been involved with the timelines. It's been a rough road on this one, I will say. So your due date for this is going to be the same as with your Fund B, right? So your Fund B and S are going to be due on September 15th, and then you're going to have corrections September 16th through October 15th on approvals, and then you're going to have claims corrections September 16th through October 31st. So these are going to be your B and your S, okay? So that was extended by 1 month. So in other words, typically we're used to Fund B coming in on October 15th or on August 15th. Now they've extended everything by a month. So it is due September 15th. Again, the B and the S are going to come in together. It's going to be both terms for those. All right. So the B and the S are coming in together. Same due dates. And again, they've been extended this year. So to find the approved schools, there's a list on our website. So if you're not sure, if you know maybe you have a public special school, but you aren't sure if it was approved, then you can go to our website on our homepage under Hot Topics. There's a final 24-25 approved list. I don't know if those have the intensive rates on there yet. I know we were waiting on a different form as well, so they may not have the intensive rates there yet, but it's going to at least tell you the programs that were approved. So those should become available. Those should be available in the drop downs in iStar now for you to add for Fund S. Okay, so the problem that we have right now is that we don't have the rates yet. So again, we have plenty of time to get this claim in, but today is the first Purchase Care Review Board meeting. There's another one in August. I think it's on the 10th for anything that's lingering. So today or August 10th, those rates should be approved and you should be able to enter the claims into iStar. Now, again, it's going to take some time, 2, 3, 4 days for the person at ISB to get those rates entered into the system. So you're not going to come in tomorrow and see all the rates in, okay? So we're going to have a little grace and patience with her because it's essentially one person doing all that work, okay? So they will come in, but again, with the extension, we have plenty of time to take care of this. You technically have until October 31st for the claims corrections. So really, you can put those dollar amounts in through that time period, okay? We always have a correction period. That's a nice correction time for the private facility. So, you know, this is going to be even better. It gives you more time. As soon as you do see that rate, you can go ahead and complete your claim. You don't have to wait until that time period by any means, but you're going to have to make sure the rate exists. Okay. So hopefully that will go smooth. She'll be able to get those in. So how do you locate your Fund S students that are in iStar? You should already have them coded as S. If you do not, then you're going to have to look at kids that go to these separate facilities and see if that facility's on the list of approvals. And then you're going to have to change the students from an existing fund code to an S, with one exception. If you have fund code E kids that go to these facilities, we're not changing them, okay? You won't be able to because they're locked, but that is correct. Orphanage always trumps any other code, okay? So your E's should have been E's this year. They should remain E's, even if they're attending one of these approved public facilities. All right, what if the school is on the list, but that school doesn't tuition out students? I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, if you have students that attend this facility, they can be a Fund S and get funding for that attendance there. Okay. Okay, so if you have already made those changes, then you can go into iStar Plus. You're going to go to Student and Student Analytics because we want to search for all the kids that are coded as Fund S. Okay, if you know you only have one and you know who it is, then you can go into Student Central and search for them with their last name or SysID, however you want to. But if you know you're going to have a list of Fund S kids that you need to work on, my recommendation is open up Student Analytics, filter by the fund code. So that'll be in the grid already. You just come in, you hit search, your magnifying glass, it pulls up your records, and then in the fund code column, just type in S. It's going to give you all the kids that have a fund code of S, and then you're going to click your shopping cart. Okay, so Student Analytics, click the magnifying glass, put in your Fund S, click the shopping cart. That's going to open just your Fund S records in Student Central, and then you can work on the claim from there. Okay, so remember, when you open that, all your names are going to be on the left, your data entries on the right. You're going to have your approval record first, but we're going to be talking about the claim today. You do have time still through September 15th to change these to Fund S if you need to. Okay, would it be better to make a Fund X student Fund S if they attend a Fund S school? Absolutely. You're going to get nothing for Fund X. If any of your Fund X kids qualify as Fund S, you absolutely want to change them. Okay, if the school is not on that list, then they can't be a Fund S. So you're going to have to check the list to see if the school is on there. The rules for this, basically, it had to be a separate facility where the kids were receiving services that was 100% special ed. So it could not be a rented, if the co-op rents a classroom inside a public district school, that does not count. It has to be a separate brick and mortar facility, okay? So that was part of the application process. So if it got accepted and if they're on the list, then by all means you can use it. But if they're not, then you can't. Okay, 2 slides back, I showed you where the list is on our website. Okay, it's under Hot Topics. So look on your slide for that. Okay, as far as the claim goes, of course, you're going to click Edit to start the claim. So what process are you going to be able to use? Only calendar method. Just like your Fund B private facility, we only allow calendar method. The calendars were submitted for these facilities. Co-ops who didn't normally submit calendars did submit them this year. So everyone has a calendar attached to these special schools. If you are coming straight in now, you can probably go ahead and do your calendar. I believe that the drop down works already for the actual calendar. I know there were some circumstances where it wasn't working that great. They were working on making sure that all the information was in for the facility. So if you're having trouble, just wait a few days. We'll find out if that rate was approved, and then things should come together. So this is not something that I expect you to just go back to your desk and do right now. Okay, so this is kind of giving you a heads up on what's going to be coming. And honestly, today is a super busy week that has nothing to do with Fund S. Okay, so you need to be concentrating on your orphans, on your personnel, things that are due on Thursday. So, and that's where we're at. Okay, so if we see something Fund S, honestly, it's going to go to the bottom of the list today. Okay, so orphanage is the prime goal for us as far as the rest of this week, at least until Thursday. So you're going to pick your calendar here just like you do with private facility. If you want to look to see if the information is available, it's going to be after today at least. You can click on this arrow and it is going to open up a page that looks like the private facility search that's going to show you all the information about the school, and that's where the rate will be. Okay, so you can look there on the rate, and then from then on, make sure that your FTE is a 1.0, and then you're going to take the rate times the days. So it's just, again, like private facility. So the approved rate times the days, and that's going to be your cost per pupil. So the days enrolled, the days that the child attended, the days the child was enrolled here will come from the calendar, right? So you don't have to do that. So you would be taking, say this rate's $200, you would say $200 times 98 days, and you would put your cost per pupil here. You do not round, and you provide a whole dollar, okay? So whole dollars. Okay, so again, the data entry is pretty straightforward. Everything in between, the weighting and all this has been the difficult part, okay? My Fund S have start dates of fiscal year 25-26. Is there a way to pull those up now or after the rollover? Okay, you need to be claiming these kids for last school year as Fund S. So you need to create Fund S records for the 24-25 school year if your kids went there this past school year. The claim that I'm talking about right now is for the 24-25 school year. All right, what about a school that does not utilize a daily rate, rather they charge tuition 2 times a year? You're still going to claim the daily rate. If it's an approved school on the list, this is still what you're doing. They have 2 years, from what I remember reading, they have 2 years to basically adjust the rate to what they're charging. So your follow-up is going to be, could they charge me more than the rate? Yes, they can. So your bills you're going to pay, but you're still going to put in the approved rate. Nope, the rate, they can charge what they can charge whatever they have been charging. They can charge under the same mechanisms they've been charging, and I believe it's for, I know for this year and maybe for next year as well. So in other words, they are not bound to the rate that you're going to see here right now, but that's what you're going to get reimbursed for. So it's going to take a couple years to get this all meshed together, but that's the way it is this year. So, I mean, the bright side is you guys weren't getting anything back for these kids before, so you're going to get something. A lot of these kids, as mentioned earlier, have been reported as Fund X kids for a long time, and this will be, I believe, the fourth summer that you're not going to get any Fund X money. So, you know, they're getting something. You have to go by the daily rate. Okay, so whatever the daily rate is, that's what you're going to have to go by. If you have multiple records, then of course, you know, if you have another record that had 10 days on it, you would do this one at 98, you would do the other record at 10 days, but you're going to have to use the approved rate. You do want to watch, though. It is going to be like private day, like therapeutic, where there will be intensive rates. So if you've got a kid that's at a co-op school, but they've got an aide, make sure that you're going to use the intensive rate. Should we change our Fund X students back to A? I mean, it's up to you. You know, I mean, that's whatever you want to do. I can't say that next year there won't be excess cost monies. You know, I don't know. I do think that unless you have an internal purpose for calculating excess cost claims, that I wouldn't be doing that anymore. I think it's a waste of time. Like I said, if you have an internal reason to do that, you know, that's one thing. I know that a lot of districts held on doing that to try to help with data for what we now have, which is Fund S. I mean, really, that's what it is. You know, that's where this all kind of came from, was that there, you know, was not compensation that was even enough when Fund X was paid for these kids. And so that's kind of, you know, was the motivator for the existence of Fund S. So, you know, it's up to you guys. But I mean, I know that I still had some districts that did it this year, and it was like, well, they want to have the data to show and all those things. And it's like, well, we're past that. I mean, you know, we've got Fund S. So, let's see. I mean, you're just going to have to look on that approved list and see if your school's on it. You know, I would search by the name of the program, but then I would also search by cities just to make sure. I've looked at these and they're all, the naming schemes of them, like they're kind of hard to find for some of them, I think. So when I try to help somebody find them, I'll say, okay, well, what was the name of the program? And, you know, you may call it something different than the way it was labeled. So anyway, if I can't find it on the name, then I'll say, well, what city is it in? So I'll go through and do a Control F in the PDF and look for the city to see, did anything in that city qualify? So you're just going to have to look at the list and see if your applications were approved for the schools. Okay, so this is the sticky part of this, is that if you have orphans that attended these facilities, you cannot use the daily rate. Okay, that legislation only covered non-orphanage students, so it did not change the orphanage legislation. So that's why there's still Fund E. So I don't know, basically you're going to do what you always did for them. So I've had to help some people. You can't attach Fund S kids to a program in iStar because they're calendar method. So essentially what you do is you get line 1 outside of iStar. You can use the rest of the program method if you need to. But line 1, you're not going to be able to get in the system because you can't have the S5066B. So I've just been exporting data into a CSV for those schools and getting their ADE like that. So, okay, so where do you find the daily rate? It's going to be, you're going to click right here and that page will open up and show you. It's not going to be there yet. They're not approved. Field trips already comes in over with abilities. You cannot add anything to the daily rate. It's going to give you an error. You can only claim the daily rate times the number of days, and you cannot round. You have to truncate, so you have to drop the change. It's just like therapeutic day. We don't allow you to claim anything over the approved rate. Okay, so days times the rate. So no extras. So that's why I wanted to mention, again, if you have an aide, you need to make sure you're using the therapeutic rate, or the intensive rate, I'm sorry. Okay, so the claim is really easy. All the things around it are a little hard to get used to. Don't get me wrong. Okay, you don't see the schools listed in hot topics. Let me make sure it's still there here at the end. We're almost done with this part. So your reports for Fund S, they're going to be under student and student reimbursement claims. So this category you need to change down to claims. And you can run the student reimbursement by fund, and there will be a Fund S in your drop down. Once in a while, I get asked, if we paid less than the approved rate, do we use what we paid? You do. Yes, you do. Okay, someone else says the list is still there under hot topics. Thank you. So you're going to put in what you paid if it's less than the daily rate. Okay, on a summer term Fund S, I'm not sure what you're seeing there, so we may have to look at that. You may have to send that in to us with the SysID. I'm not sure. We don't have summer calendars, so it should be set to manual method. So there will be a separate regular and summer term claim for these. Because again, we don't have summer term calendars for public schools. So you'll have a regular term record that's calendar method. You'll have a summer term record that's manual method. Same rules apply. It's just days times the rate. Yeah, you'll be able to see the daily rate once they get that entered. So again, the meeting is, it's right now, actually. And it may not be all of them today. Majority of them, we hope, but we do have another meeting on August 10th. The Purchase Care Review Board is going to meet again to kind of tie up any loose ends. So anything that doesn't make it through today should make it through then. So again, hence the extension, but still, there's plenty of time to work on this. Okay, I'm gonna wait around a minute to see if we have any other once we run the report, we can select year and district. What do we select as payment type? Is the payment type in there or not for this? Is it only have orphanage, excess? I know that that was part of something that the developers were working on, was getting that added. Okay. Yeah, I know they're working on getting that added, but that's where it's going to be. So you'll have an additional payment type on anything that relates to reimbursement. So yes, you will have to have 2 records for these kids if they go to summer term. It's just like your orphans. 1 regular term, 1 summer term. You don't get transportation for them. Again, it's days times the rate only. You're not going to be able to get anything else on them. Okay. I'll wait a minute or so to see if we have any other questions. No related services. It's the days times the rate. That's all you're getting. It's just like therapeutic day. If they have OT or PT or anything extra, it's not going to get reimbursed in this. There's another training. It's gonna be a repeat, but we'll have another training. Yeah, look under events on our website, and I don't remember off the top of my head where it is. So let me see. We'll go to the website. Someone was having trouble finding the list of approved schools. August 12th. This is the list. There's a slide on this too in your handout. So this is the list of the approved separate day schools. So this is what it looks like. So that's why I said you can see sometimes it might be hard. Like if somebody's, you know, maybe you call it something different, you use the acronym and it's spelled out here or whatever. So that's when I would come over here and look in the city. Okay. I don't see any other questions coming in. So I will let you guys I'm sure you guys have a lot to work on. I know we do here. So we again are going to be concentrating on DE and F the rest of the week, getting those in for those corrections and personnel. And you need to remember that if you have SIS errors, you need to get those resolved by Thursday as well, because SIS will close on Thursday also. So, okay, I will let you guys and I will see you guys at the next session.